Hello and welcome to another Platinum Collection video. This is my update for October 2024. Playing quite a few games over the summer and into the fall, and I'm gonna go through my newest Platinums here for you. So back in, as you can see, June 2024, I got the first Sly Cooper game Platinum in the series. This is my first Sly Cooper game at all. I was very new to the series. I never played them on PS2 or PS3, but they always seemed like a very interesting game to me, a game series, as someone who's always liked platformers and collectathons and things like that, and also realizing that they were developed by Sucker Punch, who did Ghost of Tsushima. So I was kind of like, oh, I should really check out, like, I loved Ghost of Tsushima, so I was like, I should really go back and check out their Sly Cooper games because I've heard nothing but good things about them. So yeah, this came to PS5 and with platinum, or with trophies into platinum, so I was like, well, what better time to finally check it out? Honestly, I really enjoyed this game. Big surprise, but it's a very straightforward level-based game where there's a little bit of a hub levels, and then you go into smaller levels from there, and then do very linear levels. Like, a lot of them are basically kind of just jump from platform to platform, get to the very end of the level. There's some stealth involved. There's collecting items. There's different types of gameplay in the game, which is really cool. Like, it's not just platforming and stealth and action and stuff. There's a bunch of little mini games and stuff. And the mini games do vary quality wise. Like, some of them are better than others, and some of them were way harder than they should have been. I did use the rewind feature that PlayStation 5 has for these older games. You know, sue me. I don't care. It's play games however you want. But some of them had time limits, and you had to be so perfect with them. Like, you couldn't make a single mistake, or you just wouldn't get it. I tried them normally quite a few times actually, and then I just was like, you know what, I got to use the rewind feature, and I don't, screw it. I don't regret it. Play it however you want, and they have the feature there, so it's there to be used if you want to use it. There's a lot of little miscellaneous ones in this. Like this one, destroy 4 signs. Complete fire down below without grabbing any hooks. Complete a cunning disguise without using the barrel. Some of them are actually tricky. Like, you wouldn't know to do these challenges if you didn't know about the trophies. Like this charming the library one about without using the barrel. That one's quite hard. So you need to actually figure out, okay, how am I going to do this without using the barrel? Because the barrel is the main item you're supposed to use throughout that level. So they included these little difficulty ones in there to kind of give you a challenge instead of just throwing out trophies for beating the levels, which they do as well. So a lot of it's just beat the bosses, beat the levels, but you do have to complete everything in the game, complete all the jobs in all of these little hub levels, open up all the vaults. So in terms of a collectathon, there's your standard collectathon things you got to do, which is great because that's why we enjoy playing games like this, is to run around and collect little things and do objectives and stuff. But yeah, honestly, a pretty straightforward and fun platinum. Just you're gonna have to look out for certain trophies and certain miscellaneous things, and some of them you might even have to look up a guide on how to do, because they're a little tricky. They're challenging. Some of them are just kind of do these funny, stupid little things. But other than some of the random miscellaneous trophies you got to do here, and some of the levels, which are just these they feel like bonus games, almost like mini games, but those are the most challenging in the whole game. But I don't know. I don't think many people will super struggle with this platinum. I think it's very doable. You might get hung up on a couple, but yeah, really fun game. Well worth playing for sure. And I just wish there was more games that came out like this that had the same kind of control scheme and gameplay, where it's you go into a level, you got to get from point A to point B. There's people you got to sneak around. There's some people that you can fight. It's very much like a cartoony action game where it's just one hit will knock out people. I'd love to have this kind of game in instead of an animal kind of game, which a lot of platformers are kind of known for being about these weird little creatures and animals and stuff. It'd be cool if there was a human type game, whether you played as actual humans, like a Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid kind of game where you're sneaking around and doing stealth, but then you can go up to people and just knock them out. But it also has an Uncharted kind of feel to it, where you're running around and there's set pieces and there's things you gotta climb and jump from. I think that'd be a really cool game. If they kind of made this exact game, but threw a cartoony kind of human in there and made him a person, kind of like the Uncharted games, but less realistic looking, if that makes sense. So Anyways, that's just me talking about my dream games and games that I would love to make if I was a game designer. But anyways, Sly Cooper, really, really cool game, and I was really happy to finally play it. And if they put the other ones on PS5 and throw trophies on there too, I'll probably play them as well, because from what I've read, those ones are even better, and people hold like the second and third games in like high regard. So kind of like the Uncharted series, it's like the first one's great, and then they get better from there. So Sly Cooper, really good, really fun, really good platinum. And here we have Severed Steel. This is my second time talking about this game. I don't know if you've seen it in a previous video of mine, but there's another one where I kind of go on like a praise rant about how much I really, really, really love this game. It's like a bullet time, slow motion shooter where you can dive through the air and smash through windows and wall run and shoot guys and stuff. So I love those kind of games, Max Payne, games like that. So this really, really, this game really spoke to me. But yeah, I got the platinum for it. I had unlocked almost all of the trophies except for, and these were by far the most time-consuming ones, all of these firefight ones. So you can see I got a lot of them in 2023, and then back in September, I got the rest of them. So Firefight is basically kind of like a time attack, score attack, kind of like high score bonus mode, where you can go in and choose whatever level you want, and you can also add multipliers or modifiers to the level, so you can make it harder, you can make it easier. You can add things that make the level harder, like there's one called The Floor is Lava, where the floor is literally lava, so you can only wall run and jump through the air, and you can like choose which weapons enemies have or which weapons you have. You can turn on like unlimited slow-mo, but that will make your score go down more. So there's all these different, there's almost like cheat codes, but some of them are actual modifiers that actually change the level and like how you play it. So obviously the harder the difficulty is and the harder the modifiers are, you'll get higher points. So you can level up this firefight pretty quick if you do like The Floor is Lava and put it on the highest difficulty. I got a lot of these levels. I got firefight all these levels by just playing through a lot of levels and turning on Floor is Lava, and like actually having a really fun time like trying out like additional challenges and difficulties. But in order to get up to 40 and 50, like a lot of games, the more you level up, the more XP it takes to like unlock the next level. So it did take quite a while. Once you got past like level 30, then like to get to 40 and 50 took like a lot of XP. I found a method of doing it. There's a level called Vents, which is basically a bunch of air vents, and you can jump into the jet stream and it'll keep you like floating in midair. And when you're floating in midair, you have your bullet time slow-mo is like unlimited basically. So without actually turning on unlimited bullet time, you'll have unlimited bullet time as long as you're floating in the air. And if you turn on the Floor is Lava modifier, there's not much floor in this level as long as you're staying up in the air in the vents. So if you're floating in the air, you don't have to worry about the floor being lava. So if you crank the difficulty up all the way, turn on Floor is Lava, and then just keep playing this vent level over and over again, because I think there's like 15 or 20 enemies in the whole level and you can go through it pretty quick, then you can rank up Firefight really quick. Basically for the last, as you can see, at 1245 I got level 40, and then at 112 I got level 50. So it only took me, just under a half hour to rank up 10 levels. So that was a really good little grind spot. And like I had already played so much of this game. I'd done all of the story mode, I've done all of the other little trophies, which actually there's a lot of like difficulty ones here, like, beat this level using Floor is Lava, beat this level. Like each one has like different requirements that you have to meet, and these were really fun to do because it requires you to play the levels in different ways. And oh right, I just remembered that fire. I was thinking, oh yeah, it only goes up to 50. No, it goes up to level 80. So as you can see, I was not done earlier. I actually had to keep playing this and grinding a bit more. But as you can see here, 1127 I got 70, and then 1145 I got level 80. So it didn't take that long to jump up 10 levels. So from 70 to 80 was only just about under 20 minutes. Grindy, but once you play that vent level, if you're going to go for this platinum, if you play that vent level then and do those modifiers, you'll rank up pretty quick. Because as well, I forgot to mention, when you're in midair, your combo keeps going because you haven't touched the ground and you keep killing people, so like your combo stays active. So you'll get a ton of XP. That was the only hard, I want to say, or like challenging or time consuming part of this game to get the platinum. The rest of it is really fun, especially if you love the game like I do and had a lot of fun with it, then a lot of these other trophies are really fun to get, and like some of them will come naturally, and some of them you'll have to like do specific little level things to do it. But man, I can't recommend Severed Steel enough. It's like a really fun little indie game, like made by a small team, and it just controls like a dream. Like it's so responsive and snappy, and the shooting feels great, the acrobatics and the movement feels great, and like I said, I just love these kind of like slow-mo bullet time games. Like it makes me feel like I'm in like a John Woo movie or like The Matrix, because the main character has this kind of like Trinity kind of look to her. So super badass game. I love it, and I just got a physical copy of it. I'm really excited to own it on physical, because owning certain games on physical is a nice little thing, because it's just nice from a collecting or collector's standpoint. So yeah, Severed Steel, check this one out if you love action games, and it's like a pretty cheap little indie game as well. So hell yeah, I really love this game. And up next we get TimeSplitters 2, one of the most important games of my life. I think I love this game to pieces. This was one of the first games I got for my GameCube for Christmas when I got my GameCube in 2002. I got this game and I got Simpsons Road Rage. So both of those games are just absolute memories, great memories for me. The nostalgia is really heavy with those ones, because I just spent dozens and dozens and dozens of hours playing both of those games. And me and my friends and my cousin would just play the multiplayer and TimeSplitters 2 like all night. Like we just loved it. It was like, this was like my Halo. I didn't really play Halo on like Halo 1 or 2 or anything growing up. Played a little bit of Halo 3 on Xbox 360, but I was never a huge Halo person, but this was my Halo. So TimeSplitters 2, and the first one, TimeSplitters 2 and TimeSplitters Future Perfect, all came to PS4 and PS5 recently, and there weren't trophies at first, so I was like, oh damn, I really hope they put them in. But then they did. They released a patch and put them in, so of course I was like, I gotta get the trophies and hopefully the platinum in TimeSplitters 2. It's very doable. I was like, oh no, there's going to be something in here that's going to be impossible. But no, as someone who put so much time into these games when I was younger, like this, I was committed to it, and it really wasn't that bad. But yeah, you have to play through the entire campaign and all the levels, beat them on normal or higher. Once, like, the further you get into the levels, they get hard. Like the Robot Factory, if you've ever played that game, if you've played this game and you know the Robot Factory, you know that level's crazy. Like on normal or hard, it's so hard. Like they're not kidding with those difficulties. And then there's a couple random like you have to play the little arcade games which you find around, which is easy. You just find them and put them in your little device and queue them up. There's only like 2 little miscellaneous ones. You got to shoot pool balls into a pool table, and you got to blow up rescue someone from jail by blowing up a crate. Use 15 different weapons. That one will come to you naturally because there's so many weapons. And this one's pretty fine too. Like there's a couple levels with security cameras, so just make sure you don't trigger the alarm. It's not that bad. And there's also the rewind function in this game too, which I will get into in a little bit because I did use that for this. By far the hardest and most time-consuming trophies here are these ones here. Bronze or better in all arcade matches in the Elite League, bronze or better in all challenges in challenge mode, and then 45 silver or better in arcade and challenge, and 30 gold or better in arcade or challenge. There's arcade and challenge mode in this game, which are your multiplayer modes, but also you can play them solo because there's these like little missions as well, like extra missions where it's like you play a game mode with a bunch of bots, and it's just like score the most points or be the last one standing or something like that, or capture the flag or whatever. Yeah, these get really, really, really hard the more you get into it. So at first they start out pretty easy, but they get hard. They get really hard. And some of them are like, my God, I just barely beat them. And I was like, I was playing this game and I was like, it kind of completely, it eluded me like so many hours into this game. I was like, oh right, you can use the rewind function on this. I completely forgot. So some of the challenges, the challenge mode levels, I was like, oh, I need to use rewind. Like, so I was like running through, there's a few missions where it's basically you got to do, it's not a story mode mission, but it's kind of similar where you have an objective that you have to beat. It's not just run around and kill everyone like a normal multiplayer match. It's like you actually have objectives to do, And there's a few of them that are so long and so hard that if you get all the way to the end and die, you're just like, I can't start again. I just don't have it in me. Like, I'm dying here, literally dying at the thought of playing it again. So then I'm like, all right, I gotta start using the rewind feature, and that's what saved me. Some of these challenges, I don't think I would have been able to get these trophies and the platinum without the rewind function, because man, like, if you grew up playing, games in the 90s and the early 2000s, they were not easy. They had a lot of challenge. They really were like, hey, if you want to beat these games and get all the medals and get all the gold medals, you better be good at the game. So they weren't kidding. It's nothing to sneeze at, is what some people say. Yeah, TimeSplitters 2. If you've played this game, I don't know many people that have played it and don't like it. Like, it's made by the same people that made GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So if you know those games, then you know exactly what it is. It's an amazing first-person shooter with an awesome story mode, tons of objectives, tons of cool weapons, tons of enemies and weird little things going on. And the best part about this, the most defining part about this game, is that all the levels jump around in different time periods. So it's like you go back in the past, then you go in the future. So there's all these various settings and enemies and weapons and stuff. So it's great. And then in multiplayer mode, you have tons and tons and tons of characters that you can unlock, and they range from like normal people and humans to like creatures and monsters and aliens and all these things. They're ridiculous. Like, you see like a clown running around and like a giant squid and like a monkey, and then like a Amazon warrior, and then like a dude dressed up in like a tactical equipment with like a ninja mask or a ski mask, and then you'll see like a golem, like a giant stone golem running around, a whole bunch of stuff, and people are shooting rockets and flamethrowers and machine guns and grenades, and it's just chaos. So it's very ridiculous game, but like I said, I have heavy nostalgia for TimeSplitters 2. This was some of my young teenage years were spent in my parents' basement playing this game and just loving it, and just so I this one felt really special to me to get this platinum, because it's just like, I love this game so much. It's forever going to be one of my favorite games. So yeah, just commit to the challenge. If you want to get the platinum here, commit to the arcade and challenge mode challenges, because those are the ones that are going to get you. But don't be afraid of the rewind function. If you're one of those gamers, you're like, I won't use it. I don't get my platinums that way. I got to get it the old-fashioned way. I got to actually unlock it. Right on. That's great, but just be prepared for the challenge, because damn, this one's a tricky one. So I love TimeSplitters 2. Such a fun game, and I'm so happy that I have the platinum. Splintering time. So this game is called Home Safety Hotline. You can't see it there. They abbreviated it HSH for some reason. I don't know why, but I was really excited to play this game when it was announced. I saw a trailer for it, but it was only on PC for a while, and there's a reason for that, because it's straight up like a PC user interface. Like, the whole game, you're on a computer and you're just moving around like an application and clicking on buttons and stuff. But then they finally released a console port for it, so I was like, okay, great. I really want to play this game, and it's on PS5, so my console of choice. So I decided to go for it, sure, to finally play it. And yeah, got the platinum, because if you play this game and really like it, then it's a very doable platinum, very easy platinum, because you start out, it's just first day, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then there's a final day. So it's just 7 days, and then you complete the game. And the only other extra trophies that you need to worry about is doing it with 100% accuracy. That way, part ways with home safety. If you lose at one point, then you'll get this trophy, because it's kind of how you get fired. But I also think you might get that at the end of the game as well, naturally, just how the game ends. Spoiler alert, like, you don't stay with the company. Something happens. I guess I should have started out by explaining what the game is first. It's kind of like a spooky, weird, creepy game in a way. You're a person that works for this hotline, and you sit the whole game is you just sitting in front of a computer, and you have like a Windows 95 type program that you go on. Or actually, it looks exactly like Windows 95. You have a desktop, and there's a couple things that you can click on the desktop, but then you launch your application, you go into it, and you have a menu, which is basically like an appendix of all these different lists of things. So there's like real things, there's like rats and ticks and ants and bees, like real things that people can get in their home or in their yards that they may need pest control or people that they may need help with. But then as the game goes on, they start doing these newer entries start unlocking that are more weirder and supernatural and not of this world, or not normal is all I'll say. So it kind of, if you're familiar with analog horror, the genre analog horror, which is very trendy online nowadays, there's a lot of that in this game. Like they have these weird like pixelated images of these things, and like the artwork's really cool, and there's also the little sound effects that you can listen to get an idea of what they sound like. So basically the whole point of the game is these people call in and they say, oh, I have this problem in my house, I need help with it, and they describe what the problem is, and they may give you like they give you an idea of what it sounds like or what it's doing or how it's affecting them or their house. And then you go through this menu and you start reading the entries and you go, okay, it sounds like this, and so you tell them it's this. And then at the end of the day, it'll tell you like your accuracy, like, oh, you got 80% accuracy, so it's like you got one or two of them wrong, but the rest of them were okay. So the game doesn't exactly tell you which ones you got wrong, but some of them are a lot more obvious than others. Like some of them you're like, oh, they clearly mention this thing, and that mentions in this entry mentions that directly, so it's that. But then some of them are a little more vague, and they're like, oh, well, it sounds like it could be this one, but it also sounds like it could be this one and this one. So in that way, this game is actually kind of a really cool game to play with like a group of people, like a group of friends. Like have one of you just controlling the game, and then the others are kind of like playing it with you, and kind of like you could all kind of talk about it a little bit, and like kind of like, oh, it sounds like it's this, and you could each have like your reasonings for what you think it is. So some of them are more clear than others, but the game does a good job of making you like kind of question like, oh, it could be this one or this one. And it's not too scary. Like I wouldn't outright call it like a terrifying horror game. Like there's no jump scares and there's no like super scary things in it. It just gets a little creepy and eerie with like the images, and like it's more so like supernatural monsters and weird little creatures and like weird, yeah, it depends on your taste in horror and like your feelings on this stuff. But I wouldn't straight up say like, oh, it's too scary, and like I wouldn't say people that are terrified of horror couldn't play it, because it's not that scary. It's more so just, and there's even some comedy in it too, so like there is some kind of funny moments as well, so it's not all scary. So other than completing the game with 100% accuracy and then this part ways with Home Safety Hotline, this one, earning exclusive employee discount, you'll get that one if you get 100% accuracy on one day, you'll get like a employee perk, and then you'll get like a little thing in your email which you just click on. So that one's pretty self-explanatory and easy. Behind the Screams, read through the art book, that unlocks once you beat the game, and I highly recommend even just looking at that anyways, because you get a trophy for it. But the art book's really cool because the developer goes fully into detail about like what influenced him about the game and like how he came up with his ideas, and it's kind of like getting like a commentary on like a movie or a behind the scenes thing that on like a DVD special features. But it's also kind of like, it reminds me of like when you get the instruction booklet with the game, and you can like go in and see like information on different things, and he goes into detail about like what his influences behind the game were, how like he used to love reading like creature compendiums for like Dungeons and Dragons, and that just reminded me of like opening up like the Super Mario World booklet when I was a kid for Super Nintendo, and you would have all the enemies in there. And I love stuff like that. I love when games are like, hey, here's info about the world, and here's info about the enemies and the bosses, and it kind of gives you all the lore. So he goes into detail with that. So that you need to definitely read the art book once you beat the game, because that's part of the game in my opinion, like seeing as how it all came to be. But other than that, you'll do all that and you'll get the platinum. So like I would suggest your first playthrough just be blind, like just enjoy the game, play through the 7 days, and you may end up getting like 100% accuracy if you're really, really good at it. I doubt you would get 100% accuracy on your first run through. But once you do complete the game and then you want to go for the 100% accuracy, just look up a guide online or just write down as you're playing it like which ones you think it is, and then or which ones you know they are. But yeah, there's guides online that will tell you which ones they are, and like they're all pretty. Once you figure it out, you're like, oh yeah, it's this. Like it does make sense. Do a blind playthrough at first, because it's not a long game. You could beat the whole game in an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. There's a lot of weird little things to discover at this game. Like if you like Inscription and games like that, then you'll enjoy something like this for like the weird uncertainty and the weird world building it does. So yeah, I really liked Home Safety Hotline. I like horror and analog horror and all that stuff, and I like weird, kooky little games and indie games. This is just made by one guy, so props to him. I really liked it, and I highly recommend it. And it's on PlayStation now, so yeah, like it would be a fun game to play on PC because like you're on a computer in the game, so you kind of have like the user interface already. But on console, it's fine. It's you just move your like there's certain buttons that tell you on the controller which to press for which icon. So it works fine on console. So yeah, fun platinum, fun game. I recommend it. And I got the Hades platinum. I talked about this one as well, I believe, on another video. But the only thing that was stopping me from getting this platinum was the trophy where I had to rank every single keepsake. This one, Friends Forever, max rank each standard keepsake. Playing the game just naturally, I was just using the keepsakes that I liked. I wasn't using every single one. Then I realized, oh, I only have one trophy left for the platinum, and then I looked and I was like, oh no, there's so many keepsakes that I only had like one rank on, and you need 3 stars for every single one, and you just need to play the game with them equipped. So basically I just buckled in and I had several hours of just grinding through the game, just playing, starting at the very beginning and just going all the way as far as I could, ranking each keepsake, because you have to, every time you play through a room in this game, if you know Hades, there's several rooms with enemies. Once you complete a room, that counts for one. It says on the thing like play this many encounters to rank it up to the next one. So it says like complete 60 encounters. So it's like you have to do 60 rooms basically. So I had to do that for several of the keepsakes. So that did take me a while. It wasn't too bad because like there was only a few of them that I had to like start from the beginning, and some of them I like only used a little bit of and then had to go from there. But honestly, I love Hades. It's an amazing game. Like it's seriously incredible. I can't wait for the second one. The rest of the trophies, like this is a pretty beefy platinum to get. Like there's a lot of trophies to get where you got to play the game a lot. I think it says I have 100 hours of it on my PlayStation, like of the time recorded. Be prepared to play dozens of hours of this game if you're going to go for the trophy, maybe even more. I'm not going to go into every trophy here because there's a lot to do in this game. Like it's just a giant checklist of things you got to do. Side quests and weapons and things you got to meet, different criterias and there's a whole lot to do. So it was a lot. It took me a while, but I enjoyed basically every moment of it because I love this game and I'm so happy that I have the platinum for it. So yeah, Hades, go for the platinum if you love it because it's doable. Just have your time commitment set aside for it. But and I think it's just a must-play game in general. Even if you don't want to go for the platinum, just you'll unlock a bunch of stuff just by playing and enjoying the game anyways. So yeah, that's Hades. Yeah, so here's a game that if anyone has their finger on the pulse of PlayStation 5 and is aware of like the big games coming out and getting trophies and platinums and just knows what's going on in the gaming world, you're very aware of Astro Bot and how it kind of came out and kind of took the gaming world by storm for like a few weeks there. Like it got almost perfect reviews. Like it's one of the best rated games and best reviewed games, especially of this generation. Like everyone loves this game. Like there's basically I can't see many people having huge issues with this game. There's maybe things you may not like about it as much, but no one can deny that this game is insanely well made, plays perfect, is fun. It's just I loved it. I loved every second of it. It's like all the other big PlayStation platinums, like Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, games like that. If you beat this game 100%, you're gonna get the platinum trophy. Like you just have to do every level, rescue every bot, beat the bosses, do everything, get every puzzle piece. It's a collectathon. So just go through the levels, enjoy the amazing, beautiful, fun levels, and collect everything. And then there's a couple little fun things you get to do as well, because these PlayStation games, they know that they create these worlds that are so fun to explore and things to do in them that they are like, hey, there's going to be so many different little things in the levels that we want people to like experience and check out and play around with. So there's tons of little miscellaneous things that are just so fun to get, like the take a photo. I mean, all the photo spots are amazing anyway, so like definitely that one's you're gonna get that one naturally because there's just so many little photo ops in all the levels. Witness all the ship's parts singing, splash the tree, dunk a basketball. Like, some of these things you may not know about. Like, some of them you might go, okay, you 100% of the game, and then you're like, oh, I'm missing some trophies. But these are little ones that you just do in certain levels. Like, you have to just go to the level and do these little fun little, like, gags and stuff like that. Like, some of them are just kind of, hey, do this cute little thing, and that's it. And a lot of the really fun trophies are the ones when you're in the crash site, which is like the main hub of the game. Once you rescue all the bots, they all hang out there, and they're all just kind of standing around, like, just chilling. And you have to do certain little things to them, and some of them are really fun. Like, you won't even mean to get a trophy. You're just like one of them, like, you go up to Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter, and this one here, KO. And you kind of just go up to them and, like, whack them, and they start fighting. And if you get in the middle of it, then you get knocked out. And it's like things like that, like little fun things that, like, the game's just like, hey, interact with this world that we built. It's fun. As well, if you are getting the platinum, then expect to beat all of the challenge levels, which are like the XO triangle or X, circle, triangle, and square levels, which are basically all the PlayStation icons, but they're the ones where they unlock and you have to, like, get to the very end of the level. And a lot of people have talked online, like, some of those levels are really hard. And yeah, some of them are tricky. Like, I struggled with a few of them, but I didn't have a moment of, like, I can't beat this. Like, they're all very beatable, and, like, you're like, I know I can do this. I just gotta, stick to it and do it. But then once you beat all of them, then you unlock the final bonus level, which is like a longer version of those levels, and it's like, it's tricky, it's challenging. So expect a challenge, expect to earn that trophy, because you're not just, it's not just going to hand you the platinum. Like, you got to commit to this one. But that being said, though, it's not that bad. It's not the hardest thing. This isn't beating an Elden Ring boss or a From Software boss or something. Like, it's not. There are some people that won't get those trophies because they just can't beat those games. But this is like, if you're enjoying Astro Bot, and you get used to the jumping and the moving and the running and the little jetpack hovering and stuff, then, and the trickiness of some of the platforming, then you'll do it. And if you're a platforming fan, you're probably gonna have no problem with this. You've been playing platformers for decades now. I can't say enough good about Astro Bot. I loved every moment of playing this game. I know I'm a broken record in these videos because a lot of these platinums that I get are for games that I love. But yeah, I loved Astro Bot, like everyone. Like, what's not to love about this game? It's funny, it's cute, it's a blast, it's action-packed, there's so much to do and see. Amazing game, amazing platinum. Might be my top game of 2024, honestly. Like, I had so much fun with it. I didn't want to stop playing it when I got the platinum. And now as of right now, they've only released one of these bonus time trial levels. So I've just got the first one the other day, and then they're going to start releasing these ones week by week. So I'll eventually have all these trophies as well. I just want them to keep releasing stuff for this game. I just love it so much. And my final platinum that I got just recently is this very silly, kooky game called Thank Goodness You're Here. Really, really stupid game in the best way possible. Like, they call it a slapformer because you're just a little yellow dude. You get thrown. You go to this town and you just walk around from place to place. The only thing you can do is, it's kind of similar to Astro Bot. The only way Astro Bot can interact with anything in the Astro Bot game is by, like, punching it or hitting it. Same with this game. The only thing you can do is walk, jump, and slap or hit. So you go up, you're just running around this town and hitting every single thing you see, like every item on the street, every person. And by doing that, you do little objectives for people. Like, there's too much to even talk about in this game. Like, there's all of the trophies, like, they sound like nonsense. Well, not nonsense, but just fix the fryer, bake a big pie, grow a tomato, have a nice cup of tea, capture a criminal, go soup shopping. A lot of these trophies are just going around and interacting with the objects. Sometimes you'll be given a job or a task by these people to do, so that's what you do. But some of them are just, you go up to something and hit it and it breaks, or something happens, and then that then creates like a chain reaction where something else gets affected or something. But that gives you a trophy because they expect you to kind of go around this world and cause chaos. It's very similar to Untitled Goose Game in that it's very British, and you're a little dude walking around a town Like you go into different stores and businesses and you walk around a town square and different alleyways and streets and stuff, and there's people around, and you kind of just cause chaos. So it's very similar to Goose Game. The only thing that you will really need to look out for in this game is some of it's missable because there's no like chapter select or scene select or anything. You just start at the beginning of the game and then you keep going until you get to the end. So if you do miss certain things, you might need to go back and start a new game because some of it you will miss if you don't get to go back to that area, or that specific character or thing isn't there anymore, because sometimes like things will change, like because you go from like place to place to place in the town, and then you kind of go back again, like you're kind of circling through this town multiple times, like going from this street to this street to this place. Like you're constantly revisiting the same areas, and sometimes things will change. Yes, there is missable things in this game as well, but similar to Home Safety Hotline, I would suggest just playing through this game blind, like not just checking a trophy guide, because there's just so much random funny things to discover, and just enjoy the game for what it is. And then once you do that, because it's only like an hour and a half, 2 hours long to even beat the game, maybe more depending on how long you spend walking around. It's not hard to jump back into a new game and then just know what you're looking for and do little specific things and stuff. So there's a few trophies that I didn't get the first time that I had to go and start a new game, and then I just went and did those specific ones. You just have to know what to look out for. Like there's a certain guy that will only appear at a certain time in a certain, like this one, spill the beans, kick a man when he's down. This guy only appears at a certain part in the town square, and you kind of have to keep an eye out for him every time you're in the town square. And then eventually when you're almost near the end of the game is when he appears. So I didn't know he was there the first time I played it, so I wasn't looking out for him. But the second time through, I was like, okay, I know that guy's going to appear at some point. And this one here, Patience is a Virtue, Wait in Reception. This was the final one that I got for the Platinum, because it just requires you to start a new game. And at the very start of the game, you're sitting in like a hallway waiting for the mayor, and the lady behind the front desk is like, oh yeah, just wait here, he'll be out. He's busy, but he'll come get you when he's ready. And so your character is just sitting in a chair. And if you just don't touch the controller and just wait 10 or 15 minutes, then the mayor kind of goes, okay, come on in. Then you'll get that trophy. But the game expects you to kind of like, you're sitting in a chair and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? So you kind of get up and you start walking around, and then you leave and go out into the town, and that's where the game starts from there. So it's one of those trophies where they kind of like, it's a little joke one where they're like, if you actually do sit there and wait, he will come and bring you into the office, and then you can get that trophy. That's not the main part of the game. The main part of the game is to leave that hallway, go out into the town, and then get into various British shenanigans with really stupid, silly humor. Like, the best way to describe the humor in this game, it's not going to be for everyone. Some of the jokes weren't super funny. Some of them are just like, to me, like, oh, hey, I get that, that's cute. But then some of them were like, okay, that's really funny. But there's a lot of like raunchy humor. Like there's some, they use the bell end. If you know what a bell end is in British terms, they use that, and knob and things like that. But as well, like if you've watched the Austin Powers movies, it's that kind of humor. Like there's a lot of like raunchy jokes and things like that, and it's very like Adult Swim feeling. Like there's some like very funny animations and kind of weird, gross little animations and things like that. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's the whole fun of the game, is just finding these ridiculous little scenarios you get yourself into. But yeah, it's like I'd compare it to like Austin Powers, Monty Python, Adult Swim kind of humor. Some really funny voice acting as well. So yeah, and the animation's really cool too. It's just like all ridiculous animation, really good at little art style. Yeah, Thank Goodness You're Here is not a challenging game whatsoever. Like there's no way to die in the game. There's no losing. There's no game over. It's just a walking around slapping things and finding little things to do. And it's all quite straightforward and linear as well. Like you're not going to really struggle with what to do in the game. There's puzzles that I will say, but they're not puzzles that you're going to be like, oh, I need to look up a guide for this, so I'm going to need to grab this item and combine it to do this, and then figure this out and turn this thing a certain way. No, it's not like that. It's just straightforward. It's just enjoying the game and experiencing it. So that's Thank Goodness You're Here. I recommend it. Play it if it goes on sale or something, or you get a discount for it. It's a fun little short game. It's It's only a couple hours long, if that, but it's well worth your time. If you enjoy stupid humor like I do, then you'll have a good time with it. So that was my final platinum that I've gotten up until this point, October 2024. Thank you so much for watching this video, checking it out. People that have been leaving me comments and stuff in the other videos and liking and subscribing, I really appreciate it. These videos, I'm just going to keep putting little updates like this out every now and then, and who knows what other videos I'm going to do. It's all just going to be fun little video game stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.